All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another startup vlog. Week number 15. It's crazy how it's almost been 4 months of doing one video every week. But anyways, there hasn't been a whole lot of new updates. I was busy this weekend, so this week I'm finding my footing again and kind of getting. I think the goal for this week will be to finish up the notifications and get the reminders, because I want to be able to create custom reminders for like custom durations. Like, I don't know how hard that's going to be, but just so that if you want to be reminded on a certain day or something, you can just set your own reminder. And then eventually that could be built out based on, like, say if you have an upcoming test or something, it could maybe remind you to like study for it or something. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do with that down the line. But so far, I don't know if I showed this yet or not, but this is just the modal here. Basically, it's not pulling any notifications yet. It's just strictly just the front end of it. But I think this is going to be what I'm going to work with for now, at least as a starting point. And then we'll build out kind of, I don't know if I want to do an individual page for it or not yet, but we'll see how complex it gets. If we need to show more things, I'll probably make it its own page as well. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm also thinking about doing some changes to the homepage, because for one, like, I don't know, I've been doing some thinking, and the agenda page and the homepage, like, I don't know, the only reason I use this, like this page, is to kind of go back to my recent notes. Like, I don't really know if I care about all these boxes here, and even this is small. Like, I think almost somehow finding a unique way to combine the agenda page and the homepage would be more beneficial. I think there's just so much more. Like, I was almost thinking about breaking it down into like action items and giving you kind of more of an outline of what's coming up, which, like, I don't know, there's definitely a better way to display this information. And I think it would be nice to almost combine the two, the agenda and the home. I still want to do more thinking on that, but I think that's kind of the direction I want to go, because just the way it is right now, like, I'm not really finding that much use of the homepage other than the recent notes. So I feel like there has to be a better way to use it. So now the community section is live too now. So if you go ahead and you can publish your notes now. I mean, they're shareable too, so you can share your notes with people as well. But then, yeah, the community section's up as well. I got a feedback request about giving it tags, so just kind of improves the searchability, right? Like, if you give it tags, just help the search kind of filter things out, right? And then it also got me thinking, because I got another comment about SEO, and it would be nice to make public notes indexable, which I know React is really bad with SEO, apparently. So that's something I'm going to have to look into as well, because it would be nice if you're looking up, notes for whatever, and then you find the public note on this site, then you can create, and then, just another way of getting organic traffic. So that'll be interesting to look into. I'll add that to my list, but yeah. Also, 1 book a week update. Well, I guess this was going to be 2 weeks because it's 750 pages, but I think I overestimated or underestimated how many pages that actually is, because I was going to do it in 2 weeks, but like, obviously I was busy this weekend, and even just I got to a point where I was reading for the sake of just getting my pages done for the day. Like, I would get to a point where I'd read in the morning, it'd be fine, whatever, spend 30-40 minutes reading, great, even before bed. But like that middle of the day reading, like, I feel like if I'm not either starting my day with reading or ending it, like either or, it's hard to get myself to read, because like when I'm starting my day, it's just before I kind of start thinking about things. Like, I'm still kind of in a chill mood, and then at night, same thing, winding down. But when you're in the middle of the day, I feel like you already have so much stuff going on in your mind. So like, while I'm reading, I'm just thinking about other things, and I don't really retain any of the information. And I think too, doing the 1 book a week is kind of optimistic, because in a sense, it's like I'm almost trying to rush it just to finish the book for the week, and I'm not really getting the most value out of it. So I think this one, and this is one I want to actually read, and take my time with. So I think I want to just kind of just finish that when I can, like read in the morning, like read daily. But I think that 1 book a week was a little optimistic. It's not so bad if it's like 250 pages, 300 max, but 750, like 2 weeks, that's crazy. And especially when it's like a book where you have to understand concepts, and you're trying to like wrap your head around things. It's hard to devote that much time to it. And I also finally made it to a second stage of an interview. So I think it was 2 weeks ago now. I had the first, general HR interview, which was like, it was super easy, because It's just like, you know, they're really nice. You're just talking about your experience. They were talking about kind of like the role. They pretty much, that was exactly what I thought the last interview I did was going to be like, but we all know how that went. But basically, yeah, so first one went really well. It was just, you know, like if you know how to talk to people, you can't mess that up, right? It was just super easy. So anyways, the second stage is a take-home assignment, which I have mixed feelings about them. I prefer them over LeetCode, but it depends, right? Like it depends how much time it's going to take to do it, especially when like, you know, you do have other commitments that you don't have a lot of time to just throw away on an assessment that might get you a job, right? So I'm pretty sure they only have one opening. I'm like, who knows how many people they send the assessment to. So like, I imagine if it's just after a general interview where you haven't really seen much technical skills yet, a good amount, like I'm guessing like 20 to 30 people got this assessment. So it's just kind of crazy to put like that much time into it to then maybe make it to the next stage. And then I think there's 4 stages total, which, you know, whatever. But anyways, I thought like, okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of like extra effort into it. I think a database was optional. For me, I found it easier to use a database. And then authentication was optional. I just didn't do authentication because that was gonna make it, I think I spent like a little bit over 6 hours on it. And if I did authentication, it probably would have added like another 3 or 4. So basically, all they wanted you to do was create a listing app. And I made it mobile responsive too, just because why not? But create a listing app, some subtle animations, and then just be able to, you know, click on a car listing and then swipe through pictures and then have it. Like, the only thing that was required was this trade-in form. You put in information about your car and then attach photos, and then it saves to the database. So that all works, but that's basically all it was, just these 2 pages. And so we'll see what happens with that if I hear back. But what's funny is they send out these assessments, and then they say only the ones that succeed will be contacted again, which honestly, I feel like if you've already made it into like kind of the pipeline a little bit, you should always hear back, because now like I submitted it, you know, added them to the repo, and now I'll never know. Like when it's 2 weeks, I'll probably just say, okay, yeah, I didn't get it. But it would be nice to get that final email, like, okay, you didn't get it, right? And even to find out why, like, what is the reason behind why you didn't get it, right? Like, I think like this whole process kind of sucks because like you don't even know what to improve on. But yeah, better than LeetCode, because I was thinking, okay, I spent 6 hours on it. I would have had to spend way more time learning LeetCode to then maybe getting a similar question and then, you know, passing it. Whereas this is like assessment, like it wasn't hard, it's just time consuming, right? Like I knew how to do everything. But now I think it comes down to what they're looking for. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know, we'll see. If I make it to the 3rd stage and it's like LeetCode, I'll be pretty upset, because like how much more do we need to see here? You know what I mean? So it sucks how the tables are all favoring the employers right now, but like, it's just what it is. So it's like, I want to complain about it, but at the end of the day, that's what can you do, right? It's like, you can't change it. You just got to suck it up, and those are the rules. So you gotta just suck it up and go with it. So, okay. So woke up today with a sore throat. So that's awesome. Usually happens once a year, but what can you do? It's crazy how much you take for granted being able to swallow with like pain-free. So until you get a sore throat. But so I got the cron jobs for the notifications working. It was really straightforward. Like it wasn't bad at all. It's another thing Supabase just makes so easy. So they literally have a thing for cron jobs, and you pretty much just create one. This is just calling my edge function. And then this is just the edge function I went with. Literally all it does is it fetches the assignments. That I just have another query. I think you could have done this with just like Subase's, like the normal Supabase way, but I just made a custom SQL function. But basically it just grabs all the assignments that have due dates of today or tomorrow and then adds it to the inbox table. That's literally all it does. But then there's a problem that I'm running into, or at least I'm thinking about now, is that basically like I have to upsert them, right? So that there's not like every day it just doesn't keep on like I don't want duplicates of the same notification. But then I'm thinking if I do just run it once a day, because I'm running it every minute just for testing right now. So like before I did the upsert, it was just adding multiple notifications. But I'm thinking if it is just run once per day, technically there wouldn't really be a duplicate because it would just be using the same date. Because the plan I have is to, on the inbox, the date here, right? Like you'll have all the assignment information, the course, whatever, but the date that it says, or like even in 2 days, I want to use based on the due at date. So if you have 2 assignments, say if this one said due today, this one said due tomorrow, like if this one is up to date, same assignment, do I even really want to see the due tomorrow if it's really due today? So then I'm thinking maybe I can just make the assignment ID the unique field for the upsert, and then whatever is showing here will just be the most up to date. So say if you had one, oh, this assignment's due tomorrow, then you mark it as red, whatever. The next day, this one comes in, this assignment's due today. It would just replace this one and then not be red anymore. I think that's fine, but then the only issue with that is if we take it a step further, you can't have 2 notifications that are related to the same assignment at the same time. So I want to look into that more to kind of see if that's the best way to do it or if there's another way to do it. But I also want to allow kind of users to have a preference of because some people might want to be notified earlier, right? Like for me, it was fine, 2 days before, 1 day before, whatever. But if some people want to set their reminders, I think a week is a good enough time frame, but like anywhere between, 4 days out, 5 days out, that would have to be a preference in the profile settings. And then I'm thinking if I grab now I'm just thinking it might not be super efficient, because if I grab all the assignments, I'd have to also check all the users' preference before adding in the assignment or the notification, and do that every single day for every single assignment that's within a week time frame. So I'm going to look into that further to see if there's a more efficient way to do that, or maybe it doesn't even matter. But I also think I'm just going to start simple with you get notified for if it's due tomorrow or due today. And I think starting there will be at least a good starting point. But other than that, it was super simple to set up, really not that bad at all. And I also added this, so now you can switch courses, or move notes around courses. So yeah, I forgot to mention that, I think. So I just finished chapter 4 of this book. That's like page 120. There's probably 40 chapters in this thing if I'm already on 4. But basically there was one thing that it was talking about where I was a little bit confused about kind of the whole concept of the book, right? Basically one of the main things he talks about is how whenever you're chasing something and you're putting high importance on that thing, you're basically pushing it away further. Like his kind of argument is that, every force has an equal and opposite force, right? I think it's one of Newton's laws. But basically he thinks, or what he says is about kind of energy, right? That if you have a high importance and you're striving for something, you create excess potential towards that, which then throws off the balance, so that if you're striving towards something and you have a high importance on that, then you actually get further away from that because it needs to balance out. So he talks about lowering your importance of things, and in a way that kind of seems then that just sounds like I shouldn't care about anything. But I threw it into ChatGPT to kind of work out my thoughts. This is great. If you ever read a book and you have questions on it, throwing it into ChatGPT is honestly amazing. But and it kind of made me connect a dot on the whole visualization thing, right? And acting as if you already have achieved something even though you haven't. And now it's kind of making sense where, let's say you do visualize, let's just use moving out as an easy example because it's super easy to grasp. If you already visualize, your life, that you've already moved out of the house, you're on your own, and it's inevitable that's going to happen, right? And you just believe that it's either already happened or it's going to happen for sure, no doubt in your mind. Then that, when you do achieve it or when you're striving towards it, you don't really have an importance of doing it because you've already done it, right? So that lowers the importance. And then that's when I think now you just find yourself, okay, well, yeah, you can still strive for the goals, but you're now more kind of a relaxed, stress-free state, and now you can really just focus on taking the actions that are gonna get you there. And I think that makes sense. I'm still obviously trying to figure it out, but at first it kind of just made no sense at all to me, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if you're in a situation where you genuinely want to chase something, I like to believe that you can chase it as hard as possible and you will get it. And this is kind of saying the opposite, right? So it's a little bit weird to wrap my head around, but I think it's starting to make sense a little bit. And especially since it's one thing, to say that, you're not going to value or put high importance on something, but it's a whole completely other thing to actually genuinely not value it. So yeah, it's super interesting. But yeah, so far it's been a pretty great book. It is one of those books, like I said before, where it's like it takes so much attention to like really grasp what he's trying to say. And a lot of the times I am reading and then like I zone out and then I have to go back. Like that happens quite a bit. But yeah, other than that though, it's been pretty solid so far. Like I think the way he's leading up is kind of getting you might ask yourself like, oh, why is he talking about this? But then it starts you start understanding why later on. So, and like I said, I'm just starting it out, but yeah, so far so good. So I got a comment about idea generation, right? And I don't think, I know it all when it comes to idea generation. I definitely don't. But a year ago, I responded to this Reddit post, and I can link the Reddit post in the description if you guys want to go look at it. Just this guy was asking about ideas and how to generate, just how to get ideas for like SaaS products. And it's funny because I made this post or I made this comment like over a year ago, and it's funny how, it's easy to say one thing and then it's when you're actually in the process of it, it's hard to like actually take your own advice. But basically the main things that I use and what I responded to this comment was, or this post was, no matter like if you have no ideas, whatever, like just start by writing down everything that you're interested in, right? Like it could be your hobbies, what you do for a living, like your job. It could be just stuff you're interested in that you want to get to know or learn more about, and just write those things out, right? Like on a piece of paper. And then for each one of those, create a list of just like kind of problems that are common in those areas. And so that's why it's super important to create a product that like solves your problem first, because you're the customer, right? And then you know most of the pain points, if not all the pain points, to make a good product for it. And it's just the easiest to go off of. And when you solve it for yourself, you'll still use it at the end of the day, right? So it's like there's no downside to that, and you just have the most insight in it. So then once you have your list of all your industries, hobbies, whatever you're interested in, and you're just listing out all the the common problems or things that you think might like help like automate things, or just I don't know, there's so many problems that you could go through that you might not even think are a real problem, but if you just really think about, oh yeah, there could probably be something that helps with this. And then if it's a big enough problem or a frequent enough problem that people are willing to pay for, then you can start kind of thinking about, okay, how can I start validating it? And even if it already exists, because like most of the times you'll find something that already exists, and if anything, it's a good sign that it already exists because it's already kind of validated in that market, right? Then you can just look at that and see what they're doing and see if you can do anything better. And I wouldn't try to force it, like almost like force like an improvement on something just to get something out. Like it has to be a genuine improvement that actually improves the product. And if you keep doing this routinely, like you'll start to almost just develop a new kind of way of thinking of, you'll be asking yourself, oh, is there like a way to solve this? Even talking to people in normal conversations, you'll see your brain kind of start thinking, oh, is there a way that I can, create an idea out of this? And over time, it just gets more natural. And then you start thinking of things that, just naturally, and it's just subconsciously, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're pretty much training your subconscious mind to, in the background, always be kind of trying to connect dots to see what can be improved on, or what can be automated, what could be better this way, right? And over time it'll come, but I don't think it's something that you can really force. But at the same time, you can sit down and do a bunch of brainstorming and make quite a lot of progress. Literally the other day I was watching a YouTube video, and it was like a random YouTube video. I'm just watching the video, and then out of nowhere, I just thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool. And basically what it was, I'm not going to do it because it's going to get complex, I think, with like storing money, and I don't want to deal with that. But I was thinking, how like Twitch streamers, YouTubers, like sometimes they'll have donate links. Like for example, I was streaming a while back, and I had like a donate link and I said it was to get a face cam, but the donate link was just to my PayPal. There was no like secure way, okay, this is gonna buy the camera, right? So the audience doesn't really know if it's for the camera or not. And I just thought of this for 2 seconds, so I don't even know if this probably wouldn't even really work. But this just goes to show I was just doing something random and it just popped into my head. Basically, it'd be nice to have, say for me, I want to get a proper camera, right? So it would be interesting to think, okay, what if I had like a link, just a support link in my bio or my description that's like, oh, like almost like a GoFundMe for a product, right? And then basically this is where the platform would come in. It would basically take all the donations from the users, keep the money until it hits the goal, and then when it hits the goal, it will purchase that product automatically and send it to your house, so that like when you have this money, when you get the donations, the only way to use the donations is to get the product that you said you were gonna get, right? So it's either you get the money and you get the product, or you don't hit the money and then you don't get anything. So like, I don't know. I think that's just an example. I wouldn't want to try it, because then it's like, okay, now you're storing money, and then like I don't know what it would take to kind of hold money. Almost like, I don't know, it just seems kind of risky to me. But that's just an example, right? Where you can kind of just be doing something completely random, and then something comes to your mind. And but yeah, not to say I don't think I'm the best at creating or coming up with ideas or anything, because it's really like, it's just a learning process for everyone. But yeah, that's just something I think that if you guys can, and myself included, just to kind of get better at, you know, writing down problems and making sure that it's an actual like genuine problem worth solving, right? But it's also good, because something I struggle with is getting too attached to ideas, right? Because you want it to like succeed so much, and like you really want it to work. But it's almost good to kind of take a step back and don't get attached to ideas. Like you almost want to come at it from a lens that you want to see it be proved wrong, right? Like you're striving to prove the idea wrong. And then if you can come at it from that way, you're almost trying to make sure that you don't do it. And then you kind of have a different perspective of, okay, why is this idea bad versus, oh, I got to make this idea work no matter what. So I don't know. I mean, those are just some of the tips that help me. I think even as you go, you'll still have, you know, the normal doubts of like, oh, is this idea even good? And then maybe you will think you validated an idea, and then you build it out, and then you realize it doesn't work. Like, it's just how it happens. But every step of it's just like a learning process that you'll now take this information you learn now, and then you'll be able to view other projects in that same light, and just from having that experience. So I wouldn't dwell too hard, or like if it's your first project, don't get stuck on trying to make it the perfect idea, or like, oh, it has to be 100% validated. Like, yeah, I agree with validating an idea and making sure that people, like, it's a good product and people are actually going to want to pay for it. But at the same time, you could validate an idea forever and you'll never take action on it. So I think, you know, validate it to a certain point, but you'll never regret just starting something, even if it's a short-term project. Just the lessons you'll learn, even if it isn't validated properly, like it's still, you're going to take so much away from the whole experience. So yeah, that's just my my opinion. So today, the main goals for today, like I got to get some work done, and then I'm pretty much gone today and tomorrow again. So honestly, this might be the end of the video. I want to finish up and kind of wrap up the inbox page, and then get a lot of work this weekend. I'm going to try to get a lot of work done, and then next video should have some big updates. I'm saying it now because I'm going to speak into existence, but yeah. Anyways, if there's a clip after this, I'll see you in that clip. But if not, then yeah, I'll see you guys next week. And of course, thank you guys for making it this far. Appreciate it. She says bye too.